Hey, welcome everybody to the hangar deck. Just wanted to touch base with you this morning and give you an idea of what I'm going to be working on next. You see up here over my shoulder the Revell P40B Tiger Shark. I've kind of put that on pause for a little bit. I'm not going to be working on that today. But before I go too far, I want to show you today is Red Friday. Now, do you all know what Red Friday means? Red Friday, each letter in red stands for Remember Everyone Deployed. So, wearing my Red Friday shirt in honor of my son that's deployed and all the other men and women in our armed forces that are deployed. So, with that out of the way, we'll go on. I started last week a project that has been a long time waiting. It's something that I first saw when I was very young, probably in junior high or high school. And it is a 4-figure set from Tamiya. And this is number 2. I've already done number 1, which was the MG34 machine gunner. This is a bit of a rarity for Tamiya, I think, in that they do really great figures, but this figure and the two that the following two that come with the set are actually made out of metal. They're pewter, I believe. They're pewter. So if you've never seen one of these, I'm going to unbox it right now so to give you an idea of what they look like. And then I'm going to give you a brief overview of how I'm going to accomplish the build, and then we'll give you some updates along the way. A little bit of a departure from aircraft, which is what I usually do, but hey, you know, it's Friday. All right, so without any further ado, we'll open this baby up. All right off the bat, you see here on the top a little description of the helmet and the side of the helmet. On the front here it shows the figure, it shows different color schemes that were common for these figures, including the emblems. And if we can actually coax it out of the box. Okay. In the box you have a 2-part stand, and you can use one or both parts. If you use both parts, it just makes the figure stand a little taller. These figures are a little bit on the heavy side, so I would suggest that you use both stands. It supports them a little better. Plus, you can drill a hole in this stand. There's a little protrusion on the bottom of the foot. You put that protrusion through the hole and then hold the model and then put some epoxy here to hold it in place. That way you don't get anything on the base. Okay, here's the figure itself. I'm going to get this guy open here without ramming one of these staples into my finger. That would be handy not to do that. Okay, you can tell by the feel of the plastic that this kit's been around a while. Plastic in the bag, I should say. Alright, got that open. Get rid of that bag and the staple. Alright, here's the lower torso. As you can see, this is going to be a running figure. 1/25th scale, by the way. 1/25th. Here's the little protrusion on the bottom of the foot. You can see that. That's what will go through the base. Top half of our German soldier. He's got his head back because he's kind of been over running. This would be the right arm, left arm, and then the helmet. Everything is metal. Now we come to the weapons array, or the weapons tree, if you will. Accessories tree, maybe. We have a rifle. We have an MG34. We have a MP40. We have a map case. We have the MP40 magazine case. One thing that I noticed now that I'm looking at this that is missing, that doesn't look like it's on the molded on the model either, are the little magazine packs for the Car 98, which is right here. Sorry, Car 98, MG34, MP40, map case, MP40 magazine case, bipod, canteen, binoculars, gas mask case. It's a musette bag, I guess, is what you would call it. Day pack, whatever. Pistol and bayonet. But there's no magazine packs for the Car 98. So this guy got whatever was loaded in the rifle, and that's it. So the war's either over or you surrender, I guess. I don't know. But anyway, it's worth noting that the first kit, kit number 1, had exactly the same accessories. So I'm going to assume, and of course we know what happens when we assume, but I'm going to assume that the other two are going to have exactly the same setup as well. And then in addition, we also have some instructions that they come right out. Maybe. There we go. We have some instructions on how to build the figure, how to paint the figure, so on, some of the tools that you need. On the back here, it shows you how to do faces, which, you know, after all, that's probably the most important part of the figure. And how to do the uniform. Now, I'm going to tell you guys right now, I've heard comments, I've read comments on different Facebook pages. Guys say, oh, you know, I can't do figures, I can't do faces, I can't do this, I can't do that. Yes, you can. There's all kinds of great tutorials on YouTube. I'm going to go over how I do the face when I get done, or as I'm doing it. But, you know, it just takes practice. It's like anything else. You know, when you started building models, you didn't know how to handle the glue. You didn't know how to handle the putty. You didn't know how to handle the airbrush. You didn't know how to handle the rattle can. You didn't know how to do this, that, or the other thing. None of us were born knowing how to do this. So don't shy away from these figures. You know, what's the worst that can happen? You do the whole figure, you decide it looks like death warmed over on a popsicle stick, and you either put it in a bin or you prime it and redo it. What's the big deal? You know, I might suggest as a start, maybe you start with 1/6 figures, so you have a bigger palette to work with. One thing that you have to remember when you're doing, take my glasses off so you can see I'm being serious now. One thing that you have to remember when you're doing figures is not to overdo the whites of the eyes. You take a person, you go to the next time you go to the grocery store, look at somebody that's 25 feet away and see how much of the white of their eyes you can see. That is, and as far as that goes, how much of their pupil you can see. That's one of the big mistakes I see people make when they do figures, is they overdo the whites of the eyes. It's a natural tendency because, you know, we always think about the whites of our eyes. Now, obviously, even right now, when you look at this picture that you're viewing right now of my eyes, you can't really see the whites of my eyes. And if you do see them, they're more colored towards my facial tone than they are white. That's something I learned from Shepard Payne in some of the books that he did. The great and dearly departed Shepherd Payne, master modeler. Now, if I get close, then you can see more of the whites of my eyes. So, but even as I back away, you can't see the whites of my eyes. Now you can see the facial tones, you can see the variations in color. All of that can be learned. You know, it's a little bit darker down here below the lips, a little bit darker right below the chin, lighter on the nose, lighter on the peaks of the cheeks, a little bit darker down in here, a little bit darker in the, you know, where the eyes are, a little bit lighter up on the forehead. If you comb your hair like me, it's really light on the forehead. So, you know, all these things work in concert. And then you can also do shading on the uniform. You know, where there's creases in the uniform, you can take your base paint and make it a little bit darker and go into those creases, and it simulates a shade. All of these things can be learned, and I would encourage you to do so, because figures are an important part of modeling. Everything else, it becomes less like still life and more like real life when you can do a figure and do it effectively. The good news is, the smaller the figure, the less detail you have to do as far as facial tones and things like that are concerned. So maybe that's where you want to start. Anyway, here is a little bit more of the instructions on the inside of the box. Let's see if I can get the glare off of there. Whoops. Lost that. Okay, let me go find this, because this is kind of important. And then, last but not least, it gives you a little sticker that you can put on your model when you finish it. And this is number 2 of the set. So, real briefly, I'm going to give this the various parts of this model a coat of either Stein Eyes by Badger, either the white or the tan, you know, whichever I think of. I would go with a lighter color just by the fact that, you know, I'm going to be focusing a lot on the face. Then I will be, and most of everything I'm going to do is brush paint. I'm going to try doing the base paint, the base color for the face with an airbrush. I realize I'm going to overspray onto the uniform, but that's no big deal because I'm going to be painting that anyway. Most everything I'm going to use will be Tamiya acrylics. They have a base flesh tone. That's great for people that are toned my skin tone. For people that are darker, you might want to use a darker color, somewhere in between, something like that. But they have some really great colors. Again, though, I would advise that you do a primer coat first. But most everything else will go on with a brush, and it'll look really good. When I get all done, I'll put a sealer on it. Then I'll also use Tamiya panel line to kind of accent some of the creases in the uniform and things like that. They also do a figure accent color, Tamiya does. I'm going to be trying that this time. I didn't try that the last time. And then when I get all done, I'll be putting some sort of top coat on it. I've noticed that even though these are all flat colors, they turn out to be a little bit shiny on a figure. So it needs a matte finish when it gets done, or it looks way too shiny. And we'll be talking about that. I'll be showing you what I use for a matte finish. Okay, so without anything else, I'm going to go ahead and get started. I'll check back in with you a couple times during the course of the build so you can kind of see how I'm doing. I might try to do a video as I'm painting the face, because that is kind of cool and kind of important that people have some sort of comfort with. Now, I want to warn you, I'm not the best guy in the world for doing figures, but and doing figure faces, but I'm okay. And I kind of understand, you know, where to go with it, so maybe you can use my video as a jumping off point. Okay? All right, everybody have a good, happy Friday out there. Get out there and do some building. Don't forget your chores at home. You know, there's more out there than building models, but models are pretty high up the list. So, okay. With that being said, I'm going to get started. See ya.